Isn't the most important thing in life just to do what you feel like doing? When you're a parent, don't you love it when your child just doesn't want to do what you want them to do? Come on. The idea of the parable of the talents is quite an incredible little story. It's quite an incredible little passage. Um, I'd like you to think for a moment about a refrigerator box. Imagine a refrigerator box. A guy receives a refrigerator box worth of weight, of gold, of silver, of bronze. I'm talking a refrigerator box. You're standing next to that person and you get a gift. Yours is one of those basic little boxes that holds about 12 reams of paper. And you're thinking, that's not fair. His is so much bigger than mine. Then the person standing to the right of you, they get a little tiny box that would hold like a diamond ring. But it's not full of a diamond ring. It's just full of a little bit of weight. And you're thinking to yourself, I'm glad I didn't get that, but I wish I had that. You see, we live in this world of comparison. We live in this world where we don't like to take advantage of our opportunity. We want to take advantage of everybody else's opportunity. Would you just think about this for a moment? Are you when you were in the working world, let's say you're retired, let's say you're still working, were you excited to go to work daily? What about this, okay? Did you love the boss that you worked for? Kristen, raise your hand. Did you enjoy receiving a performance review? Did you work at some place where bonuses were a part of Christmas season? Okay, what about this one, okay? Ever watched someone get fired? That's a creepy feeling, huh? And you're looking at yourself going, I hope they don't know about or. Ever had somebody give you a job promotion? There's a lot of emotions in all of those things, and all of those are basically a part of this morning's passage. You see, being responsible is important, and making the most of our time is important. Not missing the opportunity is important. If you could walk away with one thought today, it would be this: don't miss your opportunity. If you're online, I want you to be thinking, I can't miss my opportunity. Because the truth is, whatever your opportunity is, whether it's that refrigerator box full of gold and silver, or whether it's that little ream of papers that are inside of that box, if it's that size or if it's a little ring size, whatever your opportunity, don't miss it. Don't get stuck in a world of looking at everybody else's, but take advantage of your opportunity. There's many scriptures that speak to the opportunities of life. Proverbs 10:5 says this: he that gathers in the summer is a wise son. Isaiah 55:6 says, seek the Lord while he may be found. Matthew 6:33, but seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. 2 Corinthians 6:2 says this, but today is the day of salvation. 2 Thessalonians 3:10, for even when we were with you, we gave you this rule: he who is unwilling to work shall not eat. Ephesians 5:16 says it better than anything: make the most of every opportunity. So here's this parable in Matthew 25, and simply put, I'll just retell the story, okay? They did a great job of illustrating this. This master decides that he is going to go on a journey. And before he leaves, he entrusts to each of three people a sum. To one, he gives 5 talents. That's a measurement. It's some sort of measurement. It might be a box of gold. It might be a weight of silver. It might be some bronze. It might be cold cash. He receives 5, though. This other person receives 3, and this other person receives 1. And he just says, I will come back sometime. As he leaves, the guy who gets 5, he immediately goes to work, and he doubles it. And he makes it into 10. The guy who received 3, he immediately goes to work, and it becomes 6. And the guy who has 1, he simply just hides his. After a period of time, the master comes back, and the guy who has 5, he says, Master, I immediately went to work and I doubled it. He says, well done, good and faithful servant. What a great compliment. He ends out receiving a job promotion a little bit later. The guy who has 3, he says, I immediately went to work and I doubled it. And he says, well done, good and faithful servant. The guy who receives 1, he says, an excuse. And his excuse is simply this: I knew you were a hard man. Well, if you knew you were a hard man, you would have went to work right away. Like you would have been petrified. And then he calls him lazy. So it's not his attitude is he's also referred to as worthless. And he takes the 1 and he gives a promotion to the guy who had 5, and he says, you're not just responsible for 5 anymore, now you're responsible for 6. Do you know what your reward is for hard work? Is promotions to be responsible for more things. How many of you are thinking, count me out? But it's the truth. And then he says to the one, he says, take this lazy servant and throw him into the place of the weeping and gnashing of teeth. He gets fired. You know, this parable points to the opportunity for us to be responsible with which we've been given. The day and time of evaluation is unknown. Anybody here a procrastinator? Do you know why we allow procrastination to come? Because of what we call deadlines. If there were no deadlines, would we be procrastinators? I want you to think about that. If you were never trained with deadlines, would you be a procrastinator? I'd just like you to pause and think about that for a second. Because the truth is this: we have been taught to respect the deadline rather than love the one we're being assigned from. There's an absolute adoration when somebody asks us to participate in something and we're invited and we want to please them. Our idea is this: and when would you like this by? That's our protective side. If we're in love with that person, if we adore that person, if we respect that person, we would want to do it quickly. We would not miss the opportunity. But we have taught ourselves a deadline society. Jesus is saying here that there is constant opportunities to walk in the footsteps of the Lord Jesus Christ until his return. To imitate him without ceasing until the day in which he returns. To pray like me and to do always until the day of my return. To serve others and have the mentality at every moment in time: who can I bless and how can I be a blessing? How can I praise the Lord? How can I never miss a moment? It's having an attitude that simply says, Lord Jesus, use me, not because of a deadline, but because of my awe and admiration of who it is that you are. It's a beautiful and simple passage. And remember that Jesus is simply referring to the values of the kingdom of heaven. But see, we have the values of this earth, and the values of the earth say this: I'm not doing it until I have to. I'm not doing it until it's going to be due. And I'm going to do just enough to keep you off my back. There's a boy, his name's Ryan, and Ryan was a student of mine. Actually, I've never seen a life transformed like Ryan's ever in my entire life. He's in my Bible class, and he took his memory verse test. He took his quiz the first week, and he got a C on both of them. He goes, just enough to keep my mom off my back. This went on every week. Then one day he got a D. I said, hey, Ryan, I said, what's your mom going to say? He goes, man, he goes, she's going to be on my back today. Mr. Hathorn, can I retake it? I said, no. I said, you got a really crummy attitude. I said, your goal is to keep your mom off of your back. It is not to give God glory in this life. He goes, I don't even know what you're talking about. Well, make a long story short, this guy decided to major in college in biology. He became a high school biology teacher. His senior year of high school, you just saw this completely different guy take place. I said to him, Ryan, I said, what happened to you? He said, Mr. Hathorn, you taught me that I've tried to do the minimum in life to please my mom, and I've tried to do the minimum in life to please my dad. I have never thought about giving God everything that I have at every moment in time. Mr. Hathorn, I'm ashamed of the last 2.5 years of my life. And today, I decided on a certain day that I was going to make the most of every opportunity that I had. What a great attitude. So here's a couple of principles from this passage. Here's the first one, okay? We're his servants. He's not ours. We often treat the Lord Jesus like he's a butler, don't we? I'll take. Can I have? Have you ever applied for a job and wanted the company to work for you? Do you know that Walmart actually, this is their job description? You sign this paper if you work at Walmart. I will do whatever it takes to make this company successful. There's no other thing on the job description because you cannot say that's not my job. You see, when we understand who God is and we understand that he clearly knows us, we begin to realize that we are his servants, that he has all the authority, that we are here to please him. What would it be like to work and serve somebody who doesn't know us? What would it be like to love and serve somebody who doesn't care about us, who doesn't provide for us, who doesn't adore us, who doesn't sacrifice for us? You see, the word here where it says servant is a word called doulios. That means trusted employee. Trusted employee. I have a good friend. His name's Dave, and Dave is an electrician, and Dave had not been on vacation for 11 years. I said, Dave, why don't you go on vacation? He goes, because I don't have anybody I can trust to take over this business. He goes, I go, why don't you just shut it down for a whole week and just go someplace? And he says, because I can't. Finally, he meets this guy, and he becomes his assistant. And he said, John, he says, I'm going on vacation. I says, really? He goes, no. He goes, you don't understand. He goes, this guy can do a better job than me. He goes, I trust him with everything. I gave him the credit card. I gave him the keys to the van. I gave him a key to my house. He goes, I honestly believe there's going to be more work done this week without me here than there would be if I was here, because that's the kind of employee this guy is. He's doulios. He's a trusted employee. He's a trusted servant. Everything was put in care of this trusted employee. And when these people were given 5 and 3 and 1, what they're saying is this: I know your abilities, and I'm going to give you this much. I fully entrust you. Here's a second thought. We've each been given something to be trusted with. I love this little reader's theater because maybe it's a gift of song. Are you using it? Maybe it's the ability to use your hands. Are you using it? I am not anywhere near as organized as Cheryl Panabecker. Praise God for her abilities. You know what I mean? I'm not blessed with the wisdom of Pastor Fred, okay? I'm not blessed with the ability to manage like anybody know a single task person? Anybody know a double task person? Anybody know a multitask person? How about a multitask person, okay? I'm not Keith, okay? I'm like a one and a half type of thing. But God has entrusted us. And the truth is that we've been entrusted to use. Here's a third key thought from this passage is this. We have both an opportunity and a responsibility as we're given these. Learning to be a manager is different than anything else in the whole world. Because everything that we have is for the purpose of the owner. It is not my comfort level. An owner is the one who has all of the privileges of gains and losses. Mine is just the opportunity to do my best to make him happy. Any debt that occurs, it's his responsibility. Any gain that is incurred is his blessing. Each one of us has been entrusted by the owner. When I was a child, I was given the responsibility to bring my brother's cake. He was leaving for the army the next day. And it was my responsibility to bring that to the dining room table. It was a very emotional day for my mom and my dad, and I thought it was kind of clever, so I picked it up like a waiter and I put it on my hand like this. And you know what happened when I turned the door? That whole thing just went belly down into the ground. There was a lot more reaction than I got from you guys. I just want you to know that, okay? I was a lousy manager of that. I was thinking I would be cool, and I was only thinking about the opportunity. I was not thinking about the responsibility. A good manager feels both. A good manager treats everything as though he were the owner, but open-handedly holds everything, remembering that it's not his. About 20 years ago, I was at summer camp, and one of our fellow employees had passed away right before we left for camp. And it was the memorial service was going to be at the church in Stockton, and it was going to take almost a 4-hour trip to come home and then a 4-hour trip to go back that day. I just thought I should be there. Really thought I should. And one of the counselors said, "Hey, John," he goes, "I'm going to drive up to camp." He goes, "You can borrow my car, and you can use that," because I had to drive a bus to camp, and so I couldn't drive a bus home from camp with only one person. So I'm borrowing his car, and I'm feeling some responsibility because it's a new car. Truthfully, if it was one that was already bent up, I wouldn't. Well, I'm driving down this road to go to camp on the way home, and a guy in front of me stopped with no brake lights. I still to this day have no idea why he stopped. And I knew I was going to hit his car. I'm going, great Scott, why couldn't I be in my own car that's already got a dent in the front bumper? It's like, no. I get out of the car and I go up there and go, please be nothing wrong with this car and be nothing wrong with the other car. I just feel this huge weight of responsibility right now. It's a mess, isn't it? But you see, there's an attitude that says, I have responsibility and opportunity. 2 of these 3 guys were prompted to work. 2 of these guys at once went to work. One of them basically didn't want to bother with what the master said. One of them just was lazy in attitude. He was wicked in selfish ambition. He did not respect. He flat out basically went the other way. You know, there's a thing called checkup time. That's kind of the last little thought here. There's checkup time. Year-end evaluations are wonderful. I actually loved giving tests as a teacher. Not because I wanted to prove what they didn't know. I wanted them to show what they remembered from what we had gone over. Had I done a good enough job? And I didn't make my judgments based on the A students. I made my judgments based on those who struggled a little bit more in school to pay attention. I found great pleasure and satisfaction in watching those students be successful. You know, the purpose of a year-end evaluation is not to pound you into the ground. It's to compliment you about the things that you already are doing well. And it's to acknowledge some things that maybe you have forgotten about, and to find out if you care about those things that you have forgotten about. That's really the simplicity of it. So checkup time is a great thing. And in verse 19 in this passage, it says, after a long time. The first two guys went right to work in a desire to please the master. Not on how hard anything was, but with the thought that said this, I want to please him. And the comment that was made to both of those gentlemen was, well done, good and faithful servant. Join in my happiness. You will be happy because of the relationship that has not been broken. That's a huge thought. You will join in the happiness because there is no barrier between our relationship. To the third, the one who was ignoring the return, he made him an excuse and called him a hard master. He's unfair in his judgment. He spoke of being afraid. He's actually lying to the master. Anybody here an accomplished liar? He wants to be honored for being cautious, and he wants to be honored for his laziness. But we must remain faithful. Do you know what your reward is for doing a good job? Bo, your reward for being one who handles those 5, handles those 3 well, is to be honored with some more responsibility. Part of us are like, can I do a good job and just like not have to do anything ever again? Well, that's thinking about us. That's not thinking about the master. In Isaiah 6:8, there's the reminder of this. There is no retirement in God's kingdom. One of the phrases that hurts the church more than anything else in the entire world is the person who says, I already did my job as a Sunday school teacher. That's right. I don't ever want to please God again. I don't ever want to teach the young ones ever again. I don't care about the young ones, and I'm not doing it anymore. I already did that job in the church. You see, there's this phrase in Isaiah 6:8 where it says, here am I, send me. And the word send there is an active word that says, keep sending me. In the military, they teach you a phrase. Bob's probably more familiar with than any of us. Hey, you keep doing it until there's a new command. Right? Keep doing it till there's a new command. And what's the command? Go into all the world. Here I am, use me. God expects us to use what has been entrusted to us. If you've got a great personality, be a receptionist someplace. If you've got great cooking skills, cook for the kingdom of God. If you've got great hospitality skills, do that for God's glory. If you've got time and deep prayer concerns, then ask for more prayer requests than you ever could imagine to do in this world. Choose to be used by God. If you've got hand skills, somebody's got hand skills and put this thing up yesterday. Praise God. Aren't you glad you're sitting in the shade? If you've got time and patience, then be a lay counselor and just listen to people. If you've got listening skills, minister to them through a listening ear. We should not miss the opportunity. The truth is, every one of us needs to have an attitude that simply says this: Lord, I want to take advantage of the opportunity I've been given. Here am I, send me.